Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my first crochet full tutorial of a finished product. I've got a couple other crochet tutorials out there explaining how to do magic rings and make other little parts of items, but today I'm going to show you how to make this little guy. So this was an idea I had. I've made magnets and such. I'm still not really sure what I'm going to do with him in the final end of things, if I make him a magnet or make like a little bag out of him or a pouch. But we're going to show you how to do this. Basically what you're going to need is any acrylic, worst weighted yarn, any yarn you really want to use. Of course, the size of the bunny is going to depend on your gauge, and the hook that you use for this one, I used medium weight yarn and an H hook. So that's what we're using today. And you'll also need two, these are 6mm safety eyes. I tend to use those a lot just because they're nice and easy to use and safe. Then you'll need 3 hole punched pieces of pink felt. I literally used a paper hole punch to get it started to get the right size. And then used fabric glue, whatever your choice of fabric glue is, to glue them on to the piece. And then for this finishing on the ears, this is a really cool little trick that I learned from another crafter. But you take a little bit of blush that you have that maybe you're not using, maybe you don't want to use, or maybe you got as a freebie and don't know what else to do with it. You just mix a little bit of pink on your finger and then you just press it onto there and then it stays. Eventually it will wear off a little bit, but it's a great little trick to get some color onto your projects without having to use different colors of yarn. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. To start with the first circle, we're just going to do a round of 6 with a magic ring. This is all single. Oops, nope, I'm not going to say that. The majority of this is single crochets, and the first 3 rows, if you're familiar with doing rounds and such, it's just your traditional set of 3 rounds to keep it flat, but we're going to go through that as well. So first we're going to make that magic ring. To do that, you just lay over your yarn like this. Go ahead and grab a hold of it so you're not going to make a knot. And then chain 1, and then just start making your single crochets in the ring. We're going to do 6 of them. As I get closer to that little tail, sometimes I have to pull that tail so I don't lose it, because that's how we're going to tighten down this ring to make sure it looks great. So that was 4, 5, and 6. Go ahead and close up that magic ring. This is great for projects where you don't want a lot of space, you don't want a hole there, and that will tighten down to be completely flush. I can show you that on this little guy. So you can see there's no little space there. And then, so that's round 1. Round 2, we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch around, leaving us with 12 stitches. I tend to crochet rather tightly. I've tried to start loosening up my crochet, but it's just not in my wheelhouse. So that's why sometimes my stitches are a little rough to get into. As we go around, I'll share a little bit of what's been going on in my life. Life's been a little crazy as of late. I will end up taking a trip here soon, but it will be for good reasons. Maybe not the happiest of reasons, but for good reasons. And I think it'll all end up really well. But I will tell you that trying to travel right now is a little crazy. The airports are nuts. The testing that you have to do to get on a plane is nuts. And right now I'm basically just hoping that the decision I made today was the right one. So we'll see how it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I always like to go back and recheck. First of all, how many stitches, make sure I have the right number. And then also when you're doing rounds, it's really nice because you can line up with your starting point and make sure that you're in the right place. If you have the right number of stitches and you're in the right place on your your stitching. So it makes it much, much easier in that way. All right, so then that was round 2. On to round 3. Round 3, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. So 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets in the next. And this is basically just simple round building for anything, and you just end up adding 1 more single as you go around to keep your work flat. And that can go for any amount of base stitches that you're working with, from my understanding. And this will end up being 18 stitches when we're all done. And then at the end of this, we will start making the ears. And this pattern will be available. I do need to write it up in its complete form in much nicer than what I have it written now from my note taking, but it will be available on my Etsy store probably within the next couple of weeks. I like to get it set up and put into a nice format for everybody to read. And you guys can find my Etsy store by following the link tree below. That will also take you to all of my social media, and also if you've watched any of my other videos on here, I am a Color Street stylist. And it will take you to my website for Color Street as well. Talking and keeping count is rather interesting. I've never tried to do this before. So that will be the other reason that I'm going to be going back and double checking myself and making sure that I am doing the correct amount of stitches to show you guys. All right, so I'm going to double check my count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Well, we ended up good, so that's perfect. Okay, and so something I'm going to put out there to you guys as I get a drink of coffee is this. I told you guys earlier that I made magnets, right? Well, they're owl magnets, and I had this idea, and tell me in the comments if you think this would be fun, if you would enjoy watching it. I thought about doing a tutorial on the magnets and then telling you guys little facts about the owl that I'm making. Okay, I stopped talking so I could count. That should be 10 chain stitches as we go up to start making the ears. So yeah, if you guys think that me doing a tutorial and also telling some facts about animals, since I absolutely love animals, would be of interest to you and you think that would be fun, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. And we will go from there. And I just move my pad away. All right, so 10 single crochets. I'm going to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Awesome. So we are going to go down to the 3rd chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to do a half double crochet. So that is a loop over, go through the chain, loop over, and then you loop over and pull all the way through all of those stitches. So that's how you make your half double crochet. We're going to continue that all the way down. You're going to end up with 7 half double crochets as we work down the ear. This is the first part of the ear. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Nice thing is this one you will pretty much just end up at the end of the ear and know that you're done, which is great. So again, yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. I'm just doing that all the way down until we get to the end. And sometimes because I crochet so tightly, my hook doesn't like to go through very easily. Another reason why I'm trying to learn how to crochet a little bit lighter. I've been doing this for, oh golly, now I'm going to date myself. Let's see, I first started to learn how to crochet when I was a little girl from my grandmother. And then more recently, I took classes to learn how to better crochet. I took classes with my mom and my sister. It was really fun. And from that, I pretty much haven't stopped. So I've been crocheting regularly, probably now for at least 20 years. I did that wrong. See, not everybody's perfect. So I forgot to yarn over before I went into that last stitch. So this should be our last one. We're right here down to the bottom where we did our first chain one. And then again, to check yourself, you can go back and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. For some reason I have 8. I thought I was supposed to have 7. Well, we'll go with it. It's 8. It should not be a problem because we'll just make sure that we have 8 over on the other side, and as long as they're equal, you're good. So then at this point, we're going to go ahead and single crochet in the next stitch of the round. And then we're going to go ahead and chain 10 again. I was making sure that I was doing the right thing here. Chain 10 again. There's our 10. Third chain from the hook. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over and start the whole process again of half double crocheting all the way to the end. And I'm sure that this would be a lot easier if I had editing software to either hurry the process of this and or to be able to edit of like, hey, this is where we're at. I'm going to do those 7 and I'll come back to you guys. But because I'm very new and I just genuinely don't have that kind of equipment, this is what we're going to do. And sometimes I like the fact that you have to see the whole process, because the more times that you see something, especially if you're learning how to crochet, the more times, at least for me, because I'm a visual learner, the more times you see it, the more times it kind of sets in and you better understand what you're actually doing. All right, so I'm going to go back and make sure that I have the right number of single crochet or half double crochets as we go here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so we have the same. So we're perfect there. So that's great. Awesome, awesome, awesome. A little bit warm in the room that I'm working in, so just taking a minute to move some stuff around. All right, so now we have both of the ears mostly, I say mostly finished. We are going to go ahead and we're going to do as we end this one, we're going to do a slip stitch into the next one. This is going to help tighten into our ears, and we will mirror that when we get around to the other side. Just double checking. Yep. Yep. So we're going to slip stitch here. And that is just where you yarn over and then you pull straight through that. And then as we work around, that was our slip stitch. We're going to single crochet. And then we're going to put 2 single crochets in the next one. So 1 and 2. And then 2 single crochets. 1 in the next one. And then 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And you're going to continue that around. Again, this is just kind of keeping the work flat. So when you're working in rounds, this helps you keep your work flat. When you start doing the same exact numbers over and over is when it starts to curl up on itself, which is great if you're doing amigurumi, which I absolutely love to make things with that style and make little animals. But right now, obviously, we want this to remain as flat as possible. But if you're noticing your work curling up, that could be the issue. You could be off on your count or off on how you've been stitching. So that's a way to go back and double check too. Okay, we're almost to the other side here. Whoops. Okay. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in this one. 1 and 2, and then let's see here, we're going to do 1 and then a slip stitch. So 1 single crochet. There we go. Sorry, my yarn got caught on something over there. 1 single crochet, and then we're going to slip stitch right next to the ear. Again, doing this little slip stitch brings in that tightness around the ear and kind of accentuates it. So that's what you're seeing. Oh my heavens. If that went out of frame, I'm going to apologize because I didn't realize I was going out of frame. So that creates that tightness right there. All right, and now I am going to check and make sure that everything is still in frame. Well, for the most part, that's something, right? Hold on a second. Okay, I was a little worried. I was also making sure that I was still recording. So we're back in frame and we're still recording. Don't you love novice recording? All right, so now we're just going to single crochet around the ears. When we get to the center, we're going to do a slip stitch, single crochet around the other ear, and then do that other slip stitch right here. So let me go ahead and do that. So we'll go ahead and get started here, and I think I am going to pause the video just for a moment here to make sure that everything is still going well. So I will be right back on the other side of the ears. All right, make sure everything's going well up here. Okay, everything looked good, and what I've done, I've gone around this ear, slip stitched right here in the center, and then I've started my way up and I've gotten to the chain 3 space that we created as we were going around working into that 3rd chain from the hook. What I neglected to say earlier is that when you're moving around the ear, you're going to put 3 single crochets in this chain 3 space. So 1, 2, and 3. And you do that to keep a nice, even, rounded look to your ears. And then we just continue that single crochet on down the rest of the ear. Oh, hold on one second. I feel like I got stuck in something there. Oh, he's coming back. There we go. And sometimes that's the type of yarn that you're using. This yarn in particular, I think I got from either Michaels or Hobby Lobby. I do not have a specific type that I always work with. I have started working more with cotton yarns, mostly just because of sustainability. And I'm thinking about starting to use more bamboo as well, but I haven't used bamboo yarn as much. So I'm still not 100% on that one, but I do like using things that are more sustainable. So now that we're down here at the bottom, we're going to go ahead and do that other slip stitch right here to keep that tightness in the ears and accentuating them. And then that was the 1 slip stitch, and then we're going to go ahead and move into the next stitch and do 1 single crochet and then another single crochet. So this round is going to be 3 single crochets and then 2 single crochets in the next one. So that was 3, and then we do 2. And again, this is just keeping the work flat. So now you're working in 5s is the way I like to think of it. So I'll do like 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5 is the way I kind of think about it when I'm counting in my head. And then that also keeps me on the correct multiples if I'm trying to keep track of the amount of stitches that I've done. And then if I know if I'm doing multiples of 5s, 4, or what have you, I know where I'm at in my count because of the multiples that I'm doing. I've never tried to use a stitch counter. If you guys have used one, let me know in the comments and let me know which ones you use, because I think that would be interesting. I generally don't have too many distractions, but you know, if there are distractions, it sure would be nice to not have to continually, you know, keep track in your head completely the number that you're at or the stitch that you're at. Because so many patterns call for knowing what stitch you're on. And if you get distracted, oh, like all those memes you see, like I'm counting, like we're serious. Do not bother me when I'm counting, because if you do, there will be problems. Okay. So we're getting close to the end here, and basically you're going to end with that slip stitch next to the ear. So I have one more stitch here to go, and this is where a little bit of variability with this comes into play. I'm going to try and write it as accurately as possible, so that's why I'm going to do this one, and then I'm probably going to make 2 more before I actually write the pattern to make sure that I have it exactly correct. But you'll see that the finished product is exactly the same. But that's why I want to make sure that I have all of the stitching done appropriately and have it tested out and everything for you guys before I write the pattern up. So that slip stitch was the last stitch that we are going to do. And then to finish off the work, we're just going to go ahead and yarn over, pull through. And then once I do that, then I'll grab my scissors and make that little cut on the yarn. I leave a little bit of a tail, and I'll show you why here in 1 second. So we pull that tail through, and then that's going to finish off the work for us. And I like to pull it towards the back so it's not as noticeable. And then when I finish off works like this, like I told you, I'm not exactly certain what I want to do with the back of it. To cover it up or to, you know, make it look nice. A lot of times I'll use felt to cover this and some fabric glue so you don't see what's going on the back. But the reason I do this is now I'm going to pull that magic ring taut. So you're going to tighten down that magic ring now that your work is done. And then in order to better lock in projects like this, where I know I'm going to have to do something to cover this in some facet, I will go ahead and tie these 2 tails together, even more ensuring that nothing is going to unravel. Just like so. I usually use square knots for that. And then if I have longer tails, I'll just snip those back. And there you go. So that is your finished little bunny flat. So you can see it looks pretty much the same as it should. You can fold down one of those ears, which I just think is absolutely adorable. You're just going to go ahead and add those safety eyes where you would like them. So those are the 2 safety eyes. And then punch out 3 of those little pieces of felt and use your favorite fabric glue to go ahead and glue them on. And I'll kind of give you guys an example real quick of using that blush on these to give it a little bit of color touch real quick here at the end. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Again, drop it in the comments if you think that a tutorial plus some animal facts would be interesting to you. Also, let me know if you've used a stitch counter. I'd love to hear about that and know how you guys liked it, and if there's a brand out there that's really great, if you find it helpful, if you just think that keeping track in your head is better and works better. But that's the great example here of using a little bit of blush to add some color to your projects. And that is finished. Again, check in the description for my link tree, and that will take you to all of my social media and to all of my Color Street and Etsy pages. If you like this, please like the video and don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day, you guys.